It is a fine point from where I stand. A program as the social welfare register, ordinarily should have the input that you talk about from the state governments at the subnational level. And, talking about, this move to discard that federal register, well, we want to see how far that will go, because Nigerians are basically just like after the results right now. But if the new administration that has come in, thankfully it's the same party, but then this NEC has a mix of, various parties. And we heard in the report that we presented earlier in the show, we saw the divergent views, and all the governors that seem to be on, on the
same page,
the same level, on the same page now regarding. And in Lagos, we can testify to the fact that there is a social, there's a social register. And of course, there is a registration process for residents in the state. And I recall at a program of last year where they said, you can only benefit from any social welfare program, be it at the federal or the state level, if you are registered, if your details have been, computed in the state government's register. So I think it makes sense, what they are doing. I just hope it's not going to delay the deliverables, the low-hanging fruits that Nigerians are expecting regarding the fuel subsidy removal. If they say from where they stand, from their place of knowledge and authority, that there is no way they can rely on the records of the federal government, because then, give it to them, they're talking about a 61 million list of Nigerians, vulnerable Nigerians, poorest of the poor, and we know that that's number has basically doubled to at least 133 million Nigerians who are said to be multidimensionally poor. So obviously that needs to be tweaked. And, standing on that, that is a good place for them to adjust the register. And if they have to now do it at the state and local government levels, so be it, to get an accurate record.
Yeah, you mentioned Lagos State. Lagos has an agency for that. They call LASRA. And LASRA is the agency that registers, people that are resident within the state. And of course, we expect to see things like that, from across the various states. Now, a situation, of course, experts still feel that transferring monies to people, generally off the counter, may not necessarily be the best way to bring succor to people who, maybe going through the hard times. But if they have all agreed, everyone has always harped on the need to be transparent about it. Because if there is a register, then publish the register. Let Nigerians see the register. Let Nigerians understand the criteria for the selection of anyone who is, on that list. So that when you're saying we have given 8,000 or we've given 10,000 or we're giving 20,000, whatever amount of money you're giving to anyone, this is the criteria. Why this person has to get this kind of... But the moment that is done, then Nigerians have confidence in the system and get to know how it went, and people will be raising a lot of questions from, the kind of questions that are being raised so far.
Absolutely. So transparency is key at this time. And, our leaders also need to be conscious of the fact that, government is continuous, basically. So whatever you do, there must be records to justify actions that have been taken, to also guide incoming administration, so to speak. And there appears to be a lull, but give it to the Buhari administration. They were working at the time, one can hazard a guess that they were working at the time with the records they had at their disposal. But now, times are changing, and we hope that, this process will naturally, be fine-tuned and tweaked for the greater good. Of course, like you said, this is not the only package, and I take your point, noting that some people believe that, why don't you just, make the systems work? Why don't you just talk about or focus on the systems? Transportation, for example, the government has spoken about electric buses and vehicles that will help Nigerians.
And gas-powered vehicles.
At this time. They've spoken about seeds and fertilizers that the governors have also said they will also take up. And, these are, what some people believe this is what we should do. Because anything monies will naturally cause people to raise eyebrows. How do you want to share it? How do you want to identify the poor people? But let's wait and see. But I like the fact that, governors are now, becoming more and more involved in this process. Because let's face it, all that the federal government is going to do will need the active partnership of state governments, which will, of course, or should transcend to the lower levels of governance. So we hope that they will work more across party lines, as we see at the meeting of yesterday, the NEC meeting of yesterday, that all the governments at all levels will work hand in hand to ensure that Nigerians, get a better deal this time around.
Exactly. How soon that will be is the question right now. So, because you're coming up with a fresh register. Right. Okay. So what now? They said they'll use, one of the papers said they'll use formal and informal means. Good. So when you come up with the informal means, Nigerians hope that we won't see the cousins and nieces and girlfriends and boyfriends of officials if they don't have the need for this palliative. Because if it comes to the issue of help, I think, like we have been saying, everyone actually needs help at this time, even including Dangote, the richest man in Africa, needs help in a certain way. But it's not necessarily the issue of transfer. Absolutely. But there are different packages for everyone. So if you're putting some people's names on the list, let it be that they need and they deserve that help.
To be there.
Good. So these are things Nigerians are looking at. So I believe that whatever list the governors are coming up with, at the end of the day, when they would tell Nigerians, this is the list we have come up with, it will be clear enough to Nigerians that, okay, yeah, these people, because of this reason and this reason and this reason, they actually deserve to be on the list. And the constant publishing of how much is given to whom, all of those things are important. Transparency at this time is very important.
It is. You also spoke about, the FAC conspiracy.
Exactly.
That had been trending online, and the governors also spoke about that. That is not the 2 trillion that Nigerians are peddling, that some, faction of Nigerians are peddling, that it actually falls down to 1.8 billion naira, 1.8 trillion, 1.8 billion naira, according to them. And so, well, we'll see how it goes. I also like the fact, again, that the state governments have also been mandated or have agreed to dialogue more with the labor unions, on this issue of how Nigerians, are made to feel less brunt of the fuel subsidy removal, talking about cost of living allowances at federal and state levels. That also remains to be seen how that will go, an infrastructure drive, and welfare packages across board for all Nigerians.
All right.